Hey everyone, I'm Carrie Pena. Thank you so much for listening to Carrie Pena Reports on iTunes and Android. And thank you for watching our live feed on Facebook at Carrie Pena. You can always see our shows on our site as well, inspiredmedia360.com. Today we're talking about how to take on the highest mountains. Quite literally, this is what we're talking about. I want to welcome Kristen Sandquist and Kevin Sharia, founders of the K2 Adventures Foundation. Did I just say your name wrong? Sharilla. I even practiced it before the show twice. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
So tell us why you started the K2 Adventure Foundation.
Well, we started it in 2009, and we started it after we completed a climb on Mount Kilimanjaro with 8 individuals that were blind, and I was one of the guides, and Kevin was the expedition leader. And during that time, we went and visited an orphanage in Africa after climbing Kilimanjaro, and we just kind of fell in love with the whole idea of building a company that did philanthropic adventure, and it sort of stemmed from there, and here we are today.
Now, your background is in the nonprofit world.
Yes.
And so how did you transition into doing something so wild and free like this?
One day at a time.
This is a pretty big transition.
It's a huge transition.
Yeah.
And it's been incredible. I started climbing Kilimanjaro in 2009, and here I am in 2016, and I can't wait. Every summer I look forward to the teams that we lead and the people that we guide with and meeting new people, and it's just an incredible opportunity for me to be out doing things that I never ever thought I'd be doing.
Kevin, tell me in your mind what your mission statement is.
Well, our mission is to help people with disabilities across the board from any age, and help them with maybe an adventure that they've wanted to accomplish in their life. It could be something very simple, from being able to get out of their bed to go to the mall or to go to a movie, whatever it may be. And what we do is we provide opportunities and adventures for those types of people to get out and see the world maybe a little differently than what we do, and maybe it's a little harder for them, and we just try to make it a little easier for them to explore and go on their little adventures.
Now, do people find you, seek you out, and look into going on these adventures with you? And I'd imagine a lot of times when they do that, they're feeling like, I want to do it, but I don't know if I have what it takes. How do you mentally prepare someone to go on Mount Kilimanjaro? I mean, for instance, how do you mentally convince them that they do have what it takes?
Yeah, that's a great question. We get people from all over the world. This past summer, we led over 80 people from 13 countries. So you have various ability levels. You have people coming from around the world that, conditioning and training is very different for them. So basically, Kristen and I, we interview them. We find out where they're at in their life, why they want to be doing something like this, what's their physical and daily activity that they do. And then we just come up with a plan for success for them. That's what we call it. There's a process of being successful and being safe in the mountains, and what we do is we share that. And if they go through that process and listen to what the knowledge that we've learned over the years, and if they listen to us, they'll be very successful. Our success rate is about 96% on all of our trips across the board around the world.
By the way, I want to tell our listeners and viewers that Dr. Lattie Coor, the former president of ASU, so I'm completely fangirling out because Dr. Coor is in the studio. He went with you guys on one of your trips, and he's 80, right?
Yes.
I mean, he looks not even close to 80. But we're going to talk to him in just a few minutes about what that was like, pushing himself to the limits. What is it like for you guys to see people overcome these hurdles and to push themselves into a space that must be so exhilarating?
It's the greatest part of our job. And I think that's probably why I completely changed my life back from 2009 to where I am today, because I climbed Kilimanjaro and I was guiding a woman who was blind, and to see how she felt on the summit was one of the greatest gifts I've ever been able to give someone.
Can you take me inside that moment? I mean, what is that like?
Well, the tears and the emotion and the success, and to know all the struggles that she went through in her life, and then to be on the summit of Kilimanjaro as a goal of hers, and for me to stand next to her on the summit was truly just a great gift. And I came back feeling, wow, I would love to do this again. I didn't come back and say, wow, one and done, I'm never doing this again. I came back and said, when do I get to go back? And I've been back now and been on the summit 11 times. And every single time we get to see people experience the mountain for their first time. So for me, it might be 11 times that I've done it, but for them, it's their first time. And every time I see that first experience, I get the same feeling I had that very first time that I did it.
Now, you talk about how much your life has changed, from perhaps more conventional to more unconventional. You guys have totally dedicated yourself to doing something that is inspiring so many people. What does that feel like to know that your efforts and your time and your talents are being put in a place that is bettering our world?
It feels really good. And when you see somebody overcome the challenges that are involved with climbing a big mountain, and what we try to tell them is that whatever obstacle comes your way once you go back home, whether it's with your family, with your job, with your spouse, or whatever it may be, that you hope that those obstacles are a little easier to overcome when you're presented with them, because you put forth so much more effort on the mountain than you do in your daily life. So we get stories and testimonials from people when they come back home, and they really talk about maybe how that climb impacted their job and the increase in sales, or just the overall morale that they create for their own business, because they see what we do with a team of people. We have to create this atmosphere of success for people that may not even know one another. They're coming from all different places, and they know us maybe by emails and phone calls, but then once we're put into that setting, we all have to endure the same kind of conditions, the rain, the cold, the food, whatever it may be, and you have to work together as a team to reach the summit.
How much of it, too, do you think, Kevin, has to do with seeing that the world is a very big place? I think we are all guilty on some level, wherever you're watching or listening from today, of getting myopic and thinking that everything you're doing in the here and now is so very important.
Right.
Yet you guys are trekking the globe, and you're seeing a lot of poverty, and you're seeing a variety of people, ethnicities, right, cultures. How important is it that the people that you take on your adventures are exposed to this big world that we live in?
Yeah, it's really important. One of the things we really emphasize, in us both being parents, is we say that kids laugh and cry and play the same around the world. It doesn't matter. And, we can be leaders and people can follow based on what we're doing. And that's the greatest thing. And if we represent good and we show good and hard work, then people will follow and do that. And we love the people from the countries that we go to. That's probably the reason why we love going back more than anything. They're very endearing, and they love having us there. And we can talk politics, and we can talk governments. People just think, we have this little government here in the United States and it rules the world. Well, it doesn't. People have governments of their own, and it's great to share and get into intellectual conversations with them about politics, about schools, about whatever it is in society. And it's been great. It opens up our eyes quite a bit. We travel to 5 or 6 different countries, and we learn something new every time we go there.
What has been the hardest moment for you?
Well, I think the hardest moment is when you see somebody, want to achieve that summit and they may fall short, and then you see their reaction, and then you turn it into a positive for them. At first they're depleted a little bit, but then once you realize it and you tell them, hey, you climbed on this mountain for 7 days or 10 days or whatever it may be, you did an amazing job, this will change your life. And that's sometimes the toughest thing to have them understand. But once they go home and they share their stories, and it's not about the summit, it's about the process and the journey.
How can people translate those lessons, even if they never go on a trip like this, never go climb a mountain? How can they apply the lessons that you're talking about today to their everyday life?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with not giving up. I think sometimes people quit something too easy when it gets too hard. They don't find a solution. Krista and I are about finding solutions for people instead of finding excuses as to why they can't do it. And, if people really put their mind to something, they can really overcome a lot and really achieve a lot more than what they ever thought they could.
And now we want to play a clip to take you inside a little bit more of what the K2 Adventures Foundation does.
It's still one of the most powerful mountains in the world. I know that it's dangerous, and I know that it's overwhelming, but I also know it's magical, and it just makes you see things very differently when you're here.
And now we want to bring in Dr. Lattie Coor, the former president of ASU, which is very exciting, by the way, because I went to ASU. My producer, Shannon Hernandez, went to ASU. And I'm not exaggerating when I said, "Do you know who's coming today?" He said, "Who?" And he never reacts to anything. I said, "Dr. Lattie Coor." He goes, "No way. No way. I need to get a picture with him. I need to get a picture." So you're quite the star. And you went to ASU as well, too.
I did, yes.
So go Devils.
Go Devils.
Dr. Coor, thank you very much for being here in the studio today. Just tell me, how did this trip come about for you?
Fortunately, I've been hiking all my life, have enjoyed it. It's something my wife and I have enjoyed over the years. We did the Arizona Trail, for example, 814 miles from Mexico to Utah. We climbed a lot of different mountains around Arizona. And Kilimanjaro has always kind of been in the back of my mind that I really wanted to go. When I found that two of our daughters were interested in climbing as well, I said, why don't we simply make it a trip to celebrate my 80th birthday? And we began looking around for ways to get an outfit that would help us go up. And fortunately, through a friend, Jerry Hirsch, who had taken his daughter and granddaughter, 3 generations, up the mountain with Kristen and Kevin the year before, we found K2. And to us, they were the perfect match. Not only are they here in Phoenix, but they are so committed to making this not only a successful and wonderful climb itself, but giving back to the community that they live in. Every one of us who went this year worked 2 days in the orphanage that Kristen mentioned earlier. And so it gave us a chance to really get acquainted with the local community as we were climbing this magnificent mountain.
I just love the fact that you took this on. And at 80 years old, I think it's so important to reinforce that there's no boundaries. Just because you may be a certain age or have a disability, to me, that is what's so striking. Did anyone say to you, "Whoa, Lattie, that seems a little crazy going up that mountain"?
I don't think they said that, but they were a little bit surprised. In fact, mostly among all of the locals who were the porters who were helping us, they gave me a name, Babu, which I think probably means crazy old man. But I think it has a little more elegant. They regularly commented on having not seen someone that old climbing the mountain.
What was it like?
Oh, it was wonderful. Everything about it. There were 29 of us in the group that went together, and the Kilimanjaro is not the highest mountain in the world, but it's the tallest. Because in Everest, you climb beginning in the Himalayas. Here, you start at 6,000 feet and you go to 19,000 feet. 7 days to make the climb and the descent, and every day was just wonderful. It's a challenge. You work at it, but this wonderful team makes it possible for you to understand when to kind of take it a little slower, how you get yourself ready for the next day. And for us, it was just a huge success.
Now, I love the picture of you guys up there with the Sparky hat on.
Oh, yes.
So how cool was that to be climbing the mountain with Dr. Lattie Coor?
It was the greatest thing you can even imagine. So you know your reaction when you found out that he was coming today, and when I was told that I was going to get to meet Lattie Coor and possibly be his guide on Kilimanjaro, I said my heart just started racing really fast the first day that I met him, because the situation was so different than graduating from ASU. Well, now I'm responsible for this man's life on the mountain, and I was honored, absolutely honored. And every day I just smiled and just got closer and closer and have become friends and just totally enjoy Lattie and his family. And Kevin and I have built something that I never expected was, a friendship and a bond that coming home was just magnificent.
What did this trip do for you?
Well, it allowed me to see my now adult daughters. When we know them as children, when we know them as they're growing up, we wonder about what will they be and how will they enjoy life at this stage, to join with me as adults having a great adventure together. It kind of brought back old times when we were able to do it when they were younger. Now they were together with me on that occasion.
What message do you want to send out there to people who might be listening, watching you today, just about going out there and making life happen?
Setting goals, in my view, is one of the most important thing an individual can do. Whether it's a personal academic goal, whether it's a goal to climb a mountain, whether it's a goal to be a better person, but to set those goals and know you have to work hard to make them happen. I trained 3 months in order to get ready for this climb up Kilimanjaro, that you can do it. But make sure you understand what it takes to do it, and then you can do it.
Did you ever doubt yourself?
No, not on this climb. Not on this climb. I knew one thing. I knew that if it ever got dangerous, if mountain sickness was, altitude sickness might happen, that this team would turn me around and send me down. I knew that. So I wasn't fearful that I was beyond reasonable boundaries, and that I could do it, and did so.
And what has this done for you, being a part of this and building up this incredible, it started as an idea, as everything does, and now you've grown this into something quite spectacular. What is that like?
Every day I wake up and I just am so lucky that I go to work with my best friend. I get to enjoy the board of directors of 25 that sit on our board. I smile and I laugh every single day. I have a very stress-free job when I'm building the teams, and then we are really on full force from the minute we step on the mountain and we have somebody's life in our hands. And it's just been an incredible adventure all the way around. Well,
I appreciate you guys being here. By the way, my coach, Jesse Holland, yes, is now training with you guys.
Yes.
He's trying to recruit me for one of those trips. So
I hear you're going to Peru.
He says I'm going to Peru. But he told me that, and immediately, and I started running through all the things. So that includes camping, sleeping outside. And so we'll have to have that discussion. But
yes,
it does sound like one of those experiences that you will never regret.
Yes.
Taking that trip. Thank you guys both so much for being here today. Really appreciate it. And thanks for watching and listening, everyone. I'm Carrie Pena. Today's show produced and engineered by Shannon Hernandez. Brought to you by Inspired Media 360. Until next time, stay inspired.